So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Eazy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homie Matt and I. Hope you enjoyed listening to us share our various concerts and music festival experiences. Hopefully, inspired you all to get on that full Blues Fest pass next year and just hit up some shows when they're around the area. So, now for episode 163 of Eazy Conversations. I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. So what's up with the people?
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great time right now, enjoying summer. Had a lot of fun, Eric, on that last episode talking music, but now today's episode, we have a jam-packed show for you guys. Super exciting and can't wait to get into it. Why don't you introduce the show for everybody out there, our listeners?
Super exciting indeed. And so we're going to be going back to our roots here, a topic we've addressed multiple times on the pod, periodically as new products are released. So for this one, as you can tell by the title, we're going to be getting into Marvel and DC superhero content that's been released thus far in 2025. And there has been a lot of it. So we're basically going to go back to early February when the first Marvel movie was released, which was Captain America Brave New World, and work our way all the way up to the most recent product that's dropped, the Fantastic Four, First Steps, and everything in between. So if you're a Marvel purist, you may have noticed that I've omitted introducing the animated show Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. As big a fan of the show that I was, we will not be spending any time talking about this show on this episode. We're going to focus on the live action stuff. Like I said, starting with Captain America Brave New World. So, got a lot to cover, not enough time, so let's get into it. Captain America Brave New World. First movie without Steve Rogers in the titular role, so big changing of the guard, the handing of the shield from Steve to Sam. We saw his struggles in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now that led up perfectly into this movie. So let's just do our usual opening thoughts. Matt, opening thoughts on Captain America Brave New World.
My opening thoughts on Captain America Brave New World, ultimately left very disappointed. This movie had no excitement to it, no hype, there was no build-up. The story was very flat. Some of the stuff I didn't hate in the movie, my big takeaway from this movie, Eric, is the climax fell flat for me, not epic at all. There was no badassery in it. There was no just epic stakes, and this felt like a very mid movie, even lower than mid. It was very just flat and forgettable, I guess is the right word. So those are my initial thoughts on the movie. What about you, Eric?
Couldn't have said it better myself. This movie stinks. I don't think I'll ever be revisiting it, to be honest. It's a damn shame, honestly. I admittedly have never been a huge Falcon guy, but after the show, I feel we got some good character development from him, and I was looking forward to seeing what kind of a leader Cap he would be in his own movie, really getting to run point here. And I feel like Anthony Mackie gave it his all, but ultimately there's no real appeal in this movie. There's nothing that makes you there weren't any very funny moments or extremely badass fight scenes either. The opening scene, or one of the first scenes in the movie, is a kind of a siege scene where Cap and now the new Falcon, I think his name is Ramirez or Joaquin Torres, played by Danny Ramirez. They kind of come into this storage unit, fortress kind of, and the fight scene there right away, the CGI and the fight choreography just looked so off that I kind of was just uh-oh, we're in one here. And that kind of set the tone immediately, and they never really recovered from there. So yeah, like you said, underwhelming climax, and they started how they finished in an underwhelming way, really. The biggest takeaway for me, though, is I think this movie could have been better if they'd completely hidden the Red Hulk reveal from the promotional material. If you don't give us any Red Hulk in the trailers and the posters, and you keep that as a twist, maybe we're having a different conversation here. But the fact that they leaned so hard into that in their marketing and promotional tactics, the big, like, that's supposed to be a twist in the movie. It fell completely flat. The whole time they're kind of making it seem like, oh, President Ross has this big secret. What is it? We all know what it is because you've told us 100 times in the trailer. So those are my opening thoughts on the movie. Is this is like, I gave it a 2.5 on Letterboxd. If I were to rewatch this, we may be looking at in the 1.5 range. This is a bottom tier Marvel movie in my books.
Yeah, sadly, Eric, everything you said was great, honestly. Like, I echo everything you said, and, like, I will say some positive for me watching it. I loved Harrison Ford in it. I thought he was good as President Ross. I didn't mind that conflict he had with his inner conflict with controlling. Well, I mean, we find out he's slowly being poisoned. By the way, guys, full spoilers on all these shows and movies. He's slowly being poisoned by our villain, or who our actual villain falls super flat. Samuel Stearns, super flat. Anyways, the Harrison Ford scenes with him trying to reconnect with his daughter and him like fighting, controlling himself. I didn't mind those scenes. Maybe it's because I like Harrison Ford so much, right? I didn't mind seeing him on the screen. Thought he was cool. This would be a different movie if we had Steve Rogers in it, right? Chris Evans. We would maybe be more like, he has so much charisma and likability, right? Like, we forgive Iron Man 2 and 3 maybe because it's Robert Downey Jr. in it, but had it been just a random B character in the lead role, we'd be like, maybe it is at the bottom tier too. Anyways, don't want to jump into the other movies right now, but no, this movie, Eric, bottom tier. I don't even know how much time you want to spend on this because we have a lot of other juicy stuff to talk about. But very disappointed by this movie. Fell flat. Kind of like has the quality of just like a show where it's not cinematically epic, but just bouncing from place to place, doing this. Very formulaic. Nothing special. That's 2 words to describe the movie. Nothing special. Sadly.
Yeah, you're right. We don't really need to beat a dead horse here and just keep ripping on this movie. I kind of want to, but I'm kind of just racking my brain to think of other stuff to say, which would just really be repeating what we've already been saying so far. Nothing special, perfectly said. Like you said, Samuel Stearns, horrendous Marvel villain, up there with the Malekiths of the world. Definitely forgettable. Even Giancarlo Esposito as, for $1,000,000, I never could have given you his name if I didn't have it in front of me. Seth Volker / Sidewinder. I mean, they kind of just threw him in there because they needed something else to spice up in terms of action, right? He was for sure a product of reshoots, realizing that they were missing a little something. They added him in, and did he really give us any additional value? I mean, I like the guys. Now he's kind of being overused as a villain. I feel like Giancarlo, maybe mix in a good guy role on the next appearance. I don't know, but anyways, and I completely agree with you too that maybe if we're looking at a Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes instead of your Torres Wilson in the 1A 1B role, maybe we do enjoy this movie more. That could be possible, but I don't know. I feel like what I was looking forward to with this movie was kind of a return to that spy espionage feel of Winter Soldier, that they definitely leaned hard on that in the advertising for this movie. Like, the trailer was sick. I remember all like the flickering lights, like the cuts they would do. It was a sick trailer, but unfortunately did not deliver on the expectation that the trailer set. Kind of a Quantum Mania effect. The mind harkens back to that same situation. So maybe Marvel needs to invest less in their trailer composition and curate a better final product in itself. I don't know. It's just my take. But yeah, I mean, I think that's it really for this movie. Very forgettable. Don't plan on rewatching this anytime soon. And my last thing, I guess, would be, for me, this did not do a good job to establish Sam Wilson as the guy that's going to be leading our Avengers going forward. Like, I know that's been, unfortunately, the on-screen narrative that they've been leaning on with this character is, you're not Steve Rogers. I don't think he needs to be also. I think they should really, you're not Steve Rogers. Stop trying to make him the new Steve Rogers. He is not the leader of the Avengers. He should not be, in my opinion. And we'll be in trouble if in Avengers Doomsday Anthony Mackie is the one calling the shots here. I'm sorry, but it can't be him.
I agree with you, Eric. But yeah, why don't you tee up the next show or movie? I think it's a show, right?
Yeah,
Daredevil, or is it?
We're gonna go show here. Thank God, we're gonna go with one of the strongest Marvel products we've gotten in many years in my books, and one of my favorite shows of the year thus far that we haven't really talked about so far, which would be the revival of the Daredevil series with Daredevil Born Again. So this was a long-awaited show by fans who had watched the Daredevil show on Netflix, like myself, you as well, Matt, and just had gathered a cult following. And the fact that they were bringing back the same actors for the show gave me a lot of hope for it. That being said, I was definitely a bit skeptical that are they going to keep the same really dark tones that we had with the Netflix show, which was rated TVMA, so pretty much like put all cards on the table, like anything goes pretty much. And they did as good a job as I could have wanted in terms of mimicking that dark energy in this Disney Plus show. So for me, opening vibes, Daredevil Born Again probably eclipsed my expectations realistically and was a fantastic show that a lot of people criticize in that tone wise you could tell there were reshoots here and that they initially wanted to go with more of like a court law angle with the show and then sprinkled in some of the darkness with Bullseye and the corruption with Kingpin and all that. But for me, there wasn't a single episode that I didn't like, even the slower ones where we maybe don't get like a great martial arts fight scene in there. I was dialed in the whole time. Love the characters. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio immortalizing themselves as comic book GOAT performances with these characters of Daredevil and Wilson Fisk, among other great characters in the show. But yeah, that's my opening thoughts. Loved this show so much.
That was beautifully said, Eric. I as well love this show. I love how it blended. I was as intrigued watching all the fight scenes as I was intrigued watching Fisk maneuver the political landscape of the mayorship. You know, like him dealing with the secretary that's been there forever, like with the other mayors, and she's like, no, you can't do this. And then him with his own boys doing his own thing with the task force. I was as invested in that than the Daredevil stuff. That's the mark of a good show, right? Blending different things and then combining them at the end, culminating in, now he's Mayor Kingpin at the end, and I loved how he did all that politically. Loved also Daredevil just chasing down like the Muse serial killer. That was cool, little side quest. The show I was never bored watching this show because there was always something. I don't know, like the length of the episodes were perfect. The pacing to me was tight. Hooked me right away in the first episode with we'll just say with Foggy's death. That was crazy. Like, this show hooked me right in, Eric. Daredevil holds a special place in my heart, probably in yours too. It's one of the first Netflix shows I've ever watched where I fell in love with it when I first got Netflix. And then this show just comes out years later, knocks it out of the park. Yes, Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are fantastic. They are these characters now.
Oh yeah.
And Vincent D'Onofrio has a long, illustrious career, and for him to keep doing this is testament to his acting capability. Love too the Vanessa Wilson and her ex angle and where he kept them locked up and there's some dark stuff there. But yeah, I'm gonna let you go ahead now, Eric. Opening thoughts. I love this show too, Eric. So yeah.
Yeah, so we can even go back to the opening scene that you talked about with the death of Foggy. Like, that was a tone setter in its own right in a lot of ways, where we got a lot of the classic long takes too of Daredevil and Bullseye both moving up that building. Bullseye just clipping people left and right. Like, what a reintroduction for that menace too. Just no miss, all one shot, one kills out there. And Foggy dying definitely caught me off guard. I for sure thought they were gonna do the little he had I don't know, maybe a case file in his lapel or whatever, and that stopped the bullet or something. I don't know, something goofy. But I'm glad. I feel like a lesser show would have gone down that path. And even to compare it to A Secret Invasion, where in the first episode in that show, they killed off Maria Hill. That death had
Right.
little to no impact on me realistically. Whereas this one, we also felt the emotional impact as a viewer and the implication that it had on the whole season, where Daredevil is dealing with this and the grieving process pretty much the whole season. And at the end of that scene, when he literally chucked Bullseye off the building, I couldn't believe it. I was like, am I watching the same Daredevil here where this guy's code of honor is does not kill people? He just yeeted poor Ben Poindexter off a 7-story brownstone. So pretty crazy stuff to like set the tone for like, yeah, no, this is an adult show and not pulling any punches. Loved that. And like you, Fisk's conflict the whole season, just wrestling with like, I want to be better. I'm going to therapy. I'm working on these anger issues, on the not leaning into my dark side. We know the whole time that he's eventually going to fall back to his old ways. Like, realistically, yes, I did like seeing Fisk navigate through the political scene, go to Latvian heritage meetings, show support for local causes and stuff, and contribute to charities and stuff. But at the end of the day, we want to see this guy rip police officers' faces off with his bare hands. Like, it ain't no thing. So you knew it was coming, but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But anyways, knew he was going to get back to his dark place. But what I also would have liked to see is him and Daredevil actually work together a little more, which they had hinted at the start of the season that they were going to collaborate together and not really try to take each other down. Both try to grow. So I just love how those two characters mirror themselves, I guess. That'd be my take here, is like how they're a foil to one another.
Yeah.
And they kind of can't exist without each other either. You know? Like a Voldemort, Harry Potter, a Joker,
Yeah.
Batman. Yeah.
That's right. Any interaction they have too is excellent, and but yeah, back to Fisk. Yes, his inner conflict, that was cool. Like, you knew he was gonna end up going back to his old ways eventually, but the whole like therapy thing, that was like reminded me of Sopranos with Tony and Dr.
Yeah.
Melfi. That was
Definitely.
kind of cool. And then like Daredevil's dating the therapist. That was cool. Like, she couldn't tell him right away. Like, he could. Anyways, cool little dynamic there. There's some brutal stuff too, though. Like, speaking of the action scenes with the Punisher and the task force, Fisk's task force, that whole the scene at night in the apartment, and that was brutal. Any scene with Frank Castle to me is awesome. I love that character. I know he's a fan favorite. I know he's my mom's favorite character. That's for sure, 100%.
Nice.
Love that little scene at the end too, like where he's not completely trapped, he gets out.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, this is a phenomenal show. I don't know if watching it once a week contributed to me liking it more and not feeling like it dragged or it was slow, because like I only get 30, 40, 50 minutes a week of this show and then I gotta wait. There's a argument there to, is it better to binge or watch once a week? But Eric, I was never bored, always invested. I wanted more. Yeah, sure, like not everything was perfect in this show. There's some scenes, it's Fisk's minions like dealing with like the trying to navigate the political landscape, and they were fine. Gandolfini, speaking of Gandolfini, Tony Soprano, his son's character, I can forget his name.
In the show?
Yeah, do you remember? Anyways, he's like the new assistant to the mayor.
Daniel,
like him navigating that stuff and screwing up. Like, yeah, those scenes are fine. Like I said, the show's not perfect. Also with Murdoch, Matt's like lawyer scenes in his, maybe they were gonna go with more of a lawyer angle, like he said. But ultimately, very satisfied with the final product, Eric. Can't wait for more. Very like, this is what Marvel needs to do to come back to its golden age, you know, because we're far off from its golden age. More on that later. But yeah, for now, Daredevil, very, very satisfied with that show.
Yeah, really encouraging step in the right direction for a lot of these characters. Like you mentioned, Frank Castle, the Punisher. I would have liked a bit more of him, to be honest. Like, his involvement in season 2 was one thing that really elevated that season for me of the Netflix show, obviously. So hopefully in season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, we get a little more of him. I kind of like his dynamic with Karen too. I don't know if it's like a brother sister thing or if that could lead to some romantic entanglement. You know, they like just leaving the door open to certain things, and I like how they vibe together, but ultimately I feel like it's obviously gonna be a Matt and Karen, which whatever. I mean, if that happens, good for them. But I want to know your take on Heather, the therapist. Were you a fan of her? Also, the Muse storyline I did enjoy, but I feel like that was one thing that was a bit rushed in terms of revealing who Muse was to, first of all. I think his character only had one scene before the one where he really goes off the wall in the therapist in Heather's office. When he shows up to this book signing, he's like, I need to see you. And then we don't see him again. And then in the previously on, like 2, 3 episodes later, it's like, I remember this kid. Well, guess who he is?
Yeah.
It was obvious at that point that he was Muse. It was the most, they kind of blew it like the marketing team for Captain America Brave New World did with the Red Hulk reveal. So, yeah, just thoughts on that. Like, did you feel the Muse arc was rushed, and thoughts on Heather in general?
The Muse arc was rushed. I like the fact that like he was a sinister killer, but yes, that is a cheat. Really, just showing him for half a second and be like, "Oh yeah, it's this guy." Like that's not really good storytelling. So I agree with you, Eric. Heather, I think I disliked her character more and more. Or the more the show went on, I didn't mind her at first, but the more and more I was like, "All right, I'm over her."
Yeah.
Can't even remember where she stands in the last few episodes, to be honest. But it was just cool that like she was a therapist and a boyfriend. But then I'm like, where are they going with this? And but they didn't do too many romance scenes with her and Matt. Like that was they just showed her enough. They didn't drag any of that out, so it was okay, I guess.
True.
Yeah, I'm very neutral towards her, I guess. In summary, so.
No.
What about you, Eric?
That's fair. I mean, yeah, like I wasn't a huge fan. Probably the same as you, to be honest. At first, I liked her, but then they just kept getting into these little arguments to her. Like, you're obviously Team Matt, where she's kind of bashing people wearing masks, and they have different ideologies when it comes to that. He's literally wears a mask, or wore one at that point. So yeah, and I wasn't too crazy about her. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Matty boy gets around, so you knew that this Heather chick wasn't gonna lock him down after one season. We know there's another season coming up too. There, it was always Karen, like I said, or maybe they bring back Elektra. Who knows? But regardless, like this chick was just a stopover for the time being. But I think at the end of the season, she gets promoted by Fisk to like maybe chief of a department for him. I don't know, something like that. But it's really like just handled quickly in the epilogue of the season that sets up for season 2. My last thing too, you'll all recall in our top 5 Marvel underrated episodes. Unfortunately, they couldn't bring my guy Wesley back from the dead, but they have successfully given us Buck Cashman as Fisk's new right-hand man. And of course, he's a poor man's Wesley, but I was still a huge fan of his character nonetheless. He has this kind of stone cold, silent, yet always in control demeanor of him with the silencer on lock. I thought he was dead when he went into the hospital to take out Matt, but thankfully Matt was able to escape before a confrontation happened between him and Buck. So I think that's a good character to keep around for season 2. But ultimately, he's destined for death. Like, there's no way this guy's making it out alive at the end of the day. But that's my last note on Daredevil Born Again. More Buck.
I thought characters like that make me love the show. Stone cold efficiency in his eyes, that's how I describe him. But yeah, I'm glad you like the show too, Eric. And I'd be shocked if this show doesn't make it in my top 10, to be honest. I don't want to spoil my list, but like it was such a solid show, guys. So yeah, check it out if you haven't.
Definitely. If you don't mind spoilers, of course, if you haven't seen it. But yeah, so next movie, you introduce us, Matt. Thunderbolts.
Okay.
Asterix.
So the next movie we have is Thunderbolts, Asterix. This is the movie that I was the most intrigued to see, Eric. It's a Marvel movie, more on ground level, featuring Yelena, Bucky, Yelena's dad, Alexei, John Walker. This is like this is gonna be like the Guardians of the Galaxy next level, kind of the side characters get their moment in the spotlight, characters that we've seen in movies and shows already. And my opening thoughts on Thunderbolts is, Eric, is I kind of loved it in the sense that it was very refreshing to see a movie more about the characters and their conflict than the big galactic action spectacles like Ant-Man, Quantumania, and all that garbage. So I was very pleasantly surprised at Thunderbolts. Yes, there's still that same formulaic cheesiness with the political stuff and Valentina doing like the villain. Like the villain could have been a little better, but it was just her behind closed doors trying to do her own agenda. Nobody's aware of what she's doing. Kind of like, all right, we've seen this before. But again, the stars of this movie, the Thunderbolts, they were awesome. This movie just had some badass moments. Like, there's one moment in this movie that's more badass than anything in some of the other movies. Just Bucky riding on his motorcycle towards the limo in that one scene. The theater erupted.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm rambling on, Eric. What are your opening thoughts on Thunderbolts?
That was a sick scene. I was trying to think of what moment you were talking about. But yeah, I had a huge smile on my face at that scene too. But yeah, Thunderbolts. So I'll just say it now. Like my call coming into the year was I think Thunderbolts will be the best of the Marvel movies, and in my opinion, it is. I think it's better than Fantastic Four, which we'll get into soon, but I love this movie. I was a huge fan of it, and it's all off the strength of the characters in the movie, which in past movies have literally some of them you could qualify as C characters, and they really get their chance to shine, show us a new side of them, the struggles that they deal with. And this is a Marvel movie unlike any other where we really do touch on dark, depressing themes at times where I don't think there's any other Marvel movies that really dive into it as much as this one. It kind of makes it its identity, but offsets it perfectly, I found, with a lot of really good humor. And not in the, like, stupid, like, oh, I don't even know how to describe it, but the way Marvel has used humor in the past, it wasn't like that this time. It was kind of like even self-deprecating humor where Yelena even talks about how much they're losers, like just fully leaning into it, and it was funny, heartfelt, intense, just that perfect balance I found. Florence Pugh leads the way here, and I'm talking about Anthony Mackie should not be a leader of our core going forward. Why not Yelena as a leader? I could totally see it. Like she, at the end of the day, becomes a reluctant leader of this group and kills it. She did such a good job in this movie, was the superstar of the group. Then you gotta kind of go down the line, and you'd think coming into this that Sebastian Stan is kind of your number two. He doesn't take on as big of a role as I thought he would, but still loved him in the movie. But for me, like, Wyatt Russell was a big standout in this crew too as a U.S. agent. Like just such a dog shit character out of the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, but again has that like putting on an image of like, hey, I was Captain America for a bit. I was all American, all state quarterback at my whatever high school. He was the man, and he's presenting himself as still is the man. But then we get to see what's actually going on in his head, and like this guy's going through it. So I just liked how they balanced all that out. I mean, you could say the same thing for all these characters. So those are my opening thoughts on the movie. I really like this movie. Curious to see how it holds up on rewatch, but this is definitely one I'm rewatching when it's on Disney Plus. No question.
Well said, Eric. And it's the moments where they have dialogue where a lot of Marvel movies and superhero movies have this thing where they're a slave to having the dialogue only be to move the plot along, and it's just like watching these like basically like George Lucas dialogue where it's not really interesting, it's just to move the plot along, and Marvel's done that too. But this movie has just personal dialogue between characters that have nothing to do with the plot. They're just like throwaway either jokes or stories, stuff that we as humans relate to, and we like our characters more now that they've said these things. It's character development at the end of the day is what it is. This movie excels at it. Even Lewis Pullman's character, Robert, good guy and bad guy of the movie, but I wouldn't really call him a bad guy. He's just like thrust upon this, given all these powers, and who's to say we wouldn't do the same? Kind of gets locked into his own head at the end with that shadow thing. That was really cool, going in all those rooms and it's really all in his head or something. Like that was it a little preachy in terms of it's all about depression? Maybe, but like I think that's an important topic to discuss and subject matter to tackle.
Yeah.
Interesting subject matter to tackle for a Marvel movie. Like you look at Brave New World and Thunderbolts, and they're like miles apart in terms of intelligence and like the themes and what they're going for here. The direction's better, the pacing, just the interactions between our squad of characters you wouldn't think would get along was great. You know, first they don't like each other, trying to kill each other off. Then by the end they're a team. Love that stuff, Eric. And yes, Florence Pugh is an amazing young actress. We're blessed that she wanted to do a Marvel movie, and we're going to get her now, hopefully as the leader of the Avengers, if not part of the squad. And I'm so happy about that. Yeah, the only thing that maybe could have been different is the whole Valentina as the villain, and like how is no one realizing what she was doing. But I mean, I guess you can't always have a cosmic villain or something. You have to have more realistic type villains where they're working in like black ops and secret experiments type thing. So that's okay, I guess. I think I'm just reasoning with myself right now. I guess I'm accepting that. The action was cool. But again, this movie doesn't need a ton of action. It's all about our characters and the interactions. And I feel like you're smarter and you learn more watching a movie like Thunderbolts than freaking Captain America: Brave New World, or Ant-Man 3, or the Marvels, or Marvel hasn't. The MCU's been downhill in the last 4 or 5 years. So this is, again, not to be a dead horse, but this is like more movies like Thunderbolts will usher in a better MCU era for all of us, Eric.
I think so. Like the director did a show that was on both of our top tens of 2023, Beef. So he knows what it takes to mix in humor and serious topics in there very well. And I believe the writers as well and the cinematographers have partaken in maybe more artistic or house art movies or however you want to describe them. So they got some strong, creative, and talented individuals to work on this. Not really just make your cookie cutter like Red Hulk at the end, like big battle, blah blah blah. Like this did have a big battle at the end, but it was fought way differently, and a lot of people did criticize like, they beat him with a hug. Like I've seen that criticism and complaint online. Like I don't know, it's different, Star-Lord and Co beat Ronan with a dance off. So, anything's possible out there. I feel like you also can't please everybody. I just complained about the always the same like big battle with the red monster at the end, but I like the hug. But I'm sure there's some people who hated both of those third acts. You know what I mean? I like that they went a different route with it this time. And yes, it is a story we've seen before, like the ragtag group of unlikely allies working together. Like it's not unique. Like this is a Suicide Squad type movie, right, for Marvel, but it's a Guardians of the Galaxy type band of vagabond travelers. But it worked. Who cares? Like it's like Seven Samurai spawned a bunch of remakes and inspirations, and they all hit, right? So, I don't know. I think in my books, this is one of the best Marvel movies to come out post Endgame. I'd throw it up there with like Guardians 3, Spider-Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi. I don't know if there's any other movies really that I like more than Thunderbolts that have come out in the last few years anyways. So, I was super happy with this. And I picked it as my favorite going into the year just because it was like that underdog story. And pleasantly surprised. And the last thing on this, I guess, would be the villain, while the stakes are relatively grounded and like, it's confined to New York, Sentry / the Void is an extremely powerful villain that warranted Avengers level credibility in terms of like who should be taking this guy on. Like he manhandled the Thunderbolts in that first fight scene with them. So I'm curious to see what he looks like in a fight against Doctor Doom in the next Avengers movie, right? Is he a character who becomes turned, who feeds back into his darkness? Who knows? So those are kind of questions I have about his, or I could easily see as a character that gets killed because he's too powerful. He's too dangerous to be left alive. So we'll see what happens with him. But those would be my thoughts on Thunderbolts. Big fan. Would like to see more Marvel movies go in different directions like this. And yeah, if they want to do a sequel to this, I'm definitely, I'd be there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say I'd be super happy to see these characters again, and they alluded that, at the end of the movie that we will be seeing them again. I hope so. Do you think characters like this, Eric, belong? Characters like this, meaning mortal beings that are like super jacked up with superpowers. Do you think they belong in a big Avengers group?
Yeah, so
You know, I know we've had them in the past, like Black Widow. Black Widow is with the group, and she's just a mere mortal with martial arts, right? So are you happy with all these individuals being the Avengers?
well, I think it's just like at this point, a lot of these people are gonna become like cattle raised for slaughter, right? Like a lot of these people may not make it out to the end. Like I feel like realistically, not all of them can. Red Guardian's half a century past his prime, right? Like his days are numbered. Yeah. I could see a Ghost too. U.S. Agent maybe has like a heroic jump on the grenade type death. I could see that for sure. You want to keep Yelena around. In my books, she's your big like untouchable. And then Bucky probably number 2, but anyone else can go out of this crew. Like as much as they all grew on me throughout the movie, and I thought they had amazing chemistry as a cast, I think they are all expendable. And at the end of the day, against cosmic beings, how effective can they really be, right? So,
right.
I think a lot of these characters are gonna die. I do want to highlight though, David Harbour was fantastic as the Red Guardian. He was hilarious in this movie. Great. I thought he was much better than in Black Widow, which admittedly only seen once, but I found him really funny in this. And Taskmaster crushed it as well. Upgrade on performance in Black Widow. And yeah, I guess that'd be it for the characters in this movie. We'll see. We'll see what happens to them in the next one. Avengers.
Yeah.
And last thing, Bucky, like that bike scene was unreal. I just want to say that was a straight out of Terminator 2 situation.
Right.
Yeah, that was a sick scene.
That was just badass. But yeah, I have nothing more to say. Just that I love this movie, and more movies like this, less movies like the previous one we talked about.
Agreed. All right, so now let's shift gears out of the Marvel. Or actually, no, I think we'd still have to stick in the Marvel game with Iron Heart now as the next series that dropped on Disney Plus, which follows Riri Williams, who made her debut in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Prodigy, kind of like a Tony Stark-esque tech genius who has put together her own kind of Iron Man style suit. And now we're seeing the aftermath of that movie and her getting kicked out of MIT, struggling to deal with the death of her. Man, like it wasn't even clear in my head who this guy was. Was it her stepdad or was it her dad?
I think it was her dad, but
it was her dad.
I'm doubting myself.
No, it was probably her dad. It's just because there's other characters involved. Like I was kind of forgetting what the dynamic was between all of them. But anyways, so yeah, Natalie was her best friend. Mm-hmm. Anyways, no, all this to say, and then she kind of gets involved with this group of criminals led by what's his face, Anthony Ramos's Parker Robbins, aka the Hood, and they do these little heists to kind of blackmail various tech companies to add them on as silent partners or business owners so they could get profits or royalties, what have you, of how these companies are doing. Smart plan, a bit overly ambitious in my books. How like I feel like after you get one of these companies, you're good, but the overarching theme I think was to get back at his dad for Parker Robbins, right? So, anyways, all this to say, if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. I was a fan of the show. I feel like it got quite overly hated online. Mm-hmm. A lot of bad, just I don't know, people not giving this show a chance at all and just choosing to hate. I think it was completely unwarranted. It was a very easy binge. They dropped their episodes in 2, 3 packs. It's just 6 episodes, and I pretty much watched this in like 3 days. I think very easy, like kind of low stakes in my books, but I enjoyed it. I liked the characters. I liked um, Dominic Thorne as Riri Williams. I think she was really good, and she was a nice conflicted character too, who's again dealing with the grief of her dad who can forget and her best friend, and then just like the moral dilemma of working for this criminal organization and wanting to do the right thing and be a hero. A lot of good stuff in there. So yeah, opening thoughts. Very long, but what were your thoughts on this, Matt?
So Ironheart, I thought this show was overly hated for no reason, Eric. I think everyone who's hated on the show hasn't even watched it and just saw pictures or something, or they're just going with other trolls. But for myself, I really enjoyed the show too, Eric. It's nothing like groundbreaking, but it's average, if not a little better than average. You know, it kept me interested the whole time. The biggest plus is it's only 6 episodes with a tight pacing in terms of all, as well as every episode I think got better than the last one. Like it was more like every episode I was watching was like, all right, we're getting somewhere, it's good. It's like it's better. And until we get the bad guy reveal, like who the hood belongs to, that was awesome in my opinion. Like that is a bad guy in the big MCU, and he's very powerful. So, but no, Riri was really cool character because just the thing with having the AI Natalie AI, like the AI hologram of her dead best friend, and her being conflicted with that was cool to see that. And even like just a little scene where her mom's like, well, can you create like my dead husband? Like, can you recreate? And she's like, no, I'm not doing that, because that's a slippery slope, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have someone that's like, if they walk, talk, and act like them, is it actually them? Like, that was the whole conflict with Natalie. I like that whole, is it actually person? It's not a sentient being. We know that, but like she's basically acting just like her friend. So it's kind of crazy to think that we could do that one day ourselves and like resurrect the dead, essentially. I also didn't mind the Ezekiel character, Joe/Ezekiel.
Yep.
Took me forever, Eric, to realize it was Alden Ehrenreich
really?
from Han Solo. Like,
okay.
I first like, who's this guy? I mean, maybe that's how good of a job he did. Like he kind of played that loser role good at the start, and then turned into like mini. Jedediah, what was his dad's name? Obadiah?
Obadiah, yeah.
Obadiah Jedediah. That was cool. I don't know about his villain switch. It happened pretty fast, and then he goes back to being good. But like, Hood was really cool. Parker I really dug Anthony Ramos. Super conflicted too. Kind of like is the leader of his group, but then like kind of like ditches them, and he's getting corrupted by this Hood.
Yeah.
Lastly, what I'm going to say, Eric, and you can touch on more, I like the magic aspect they introduced in this show. I like that they went there with not just sci-fi, but introducing the fantastical element. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, those are my opening thoughts. Really good show. Like, hated for no reason, in my opinion. Like, that was that's stupid.
Yeah, I agree on all fronts, really. Like, both the villains, the Hood and Zeke Stain. That was a great reveal too. Like I didn't see that coming. I mean, how could you really? That his father was Obadiah, and well, as soon as they said Obadiah as his name, like okay, so it must be Obadiah Stain. Like it's not really a John or a Tim. So I like that for sure. I agree with you though. I do think the flip to the dark side was a little quick. Although you can maybe justify it in that ever since he's met Riri, she's gotten him into a lot of trouble. He was literally in prison because of her. So he sees the Hood as his savior, and he kind of wants to take her out. So they have a common interest. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. I'll become a villain now. Could make sense. But yeah, Anthony Ramos, like I feel like they're just really trying to make, I feel like the industry is trying to make Anthony Ramos a thing. And you know what? It worked in this one for me. Like he was really good. He got better, I found, as the show went along. And I'm glad that they didn't kill him and Zeke, honestly. Although Zeke, I think, doesn't really end up as a villain. The Hood, we'll see what happens to him. Like I hope he's someone you could bring back to in like a Doctor Strange movie or something, or any show or movie where they want to explore magic further. Like when they went to that
Right.
that little shop there, I would have liked to spend a little more time there, and hopefully through these characters we get to spend more time with the big reveal at the end of the season that you talked about earlier, which was Sacha Baron Cohen's Mephisto, which unfortunately I got that spoiled for me online, so
Uh,
I knew it was coming, but still the whole scene, the whole episode, it kind of played out like the season finale in Loki season 1 did with Jonathan Majors' for introduction to Kang. This is what that made me think of, and is a way of introducing him now as another big bad, maybe in a different realm of TV shows and movies. Like I said, I feel like he fits into a Doctor Strange, a maybe Ironheart season 2 or whatever arc, and you keep him as your villain on the show. It's kind of like Fisk is for Daredevil kind of thing. I feel like that could work well. But no, I like a lot of what they introduced, everything that they pushed forward. Easy watch. Pretty cold though how Riri killed what's his face there, her the Hood's cousin there. She just left him to die basically. She didn't actually kill him. And to
yeah.
be fair, like he did try to kill her. So you can't blame her for not wanting to save him when he's suffocating inside that mushroom farm.
Yeah.
But that was a big like whoa moment where you realize that yeah, Riri may not be like your typical hero, where I feel like many other of our Marvel characters would have taken him out and just maybe just thrown him in the water or something, like to let him cool off but not let him to
Right.
die in there, where she just like almost stone cold just let him cook in there. So that's a big takeaway for me there too. And the choice she makes at the end, I was surprised. I did not think she was gonna make that choice to bring Natalie back. And then you see how she's gonna start being corrupted now. So
Yeah.
I hope they keep going with this story because they introduced a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, and like, of course, we're talking about a lot of the positives. Yes, this show has some cheesy elements for sure, like building the suit out of the car and like Hood's crew. Like every time they do a heist or something, everything goes perfectly well. Like the
True.
minions beat up all the security, like everything goes flawlessly. But that's part of like it's a superhero show at the end of the day. It's not like to be taken extremely seriously. Super casual in terms of this is really easy going Marvel. You don't have to rack your brain for days like watching Loki. You don't have to be super serious. More like Thunderbolts where it got a little more serious. But there's a bit of that in this, and there's a bit of cheesiness at the same time, which makes it honestly fun for me to watch. Not too dark, not too light, just a bit of both. And I also loved Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto. Like I thought it was really cool. Sinister would be the right word.
Mm-hmm.
He could be a cool villain down the road too. Like if we get more of him. So yeah, Ironheart was solid. Like that's all I gotta say. It's a solid show. Not groundbreaking and not poor. Like it's right above average and very overly hated for some reason. And I think everyone should check it out and give it a chance because people just already dismiss it before even watching it, which is unfair.
Exactly. Well said. So yeah, I think that wraps up Bow on Ironheart. We can now segue over to our first and only DC product that we'll be talking about in depth in this episode, which is the kickstart of the James Gunn led DC cinematic universe, written and directed by James Gunn himself, Superman, starring David Corn Sweat in the titular role. So, highly anticipated movie coming into the year. Big set the tone movie. There's high expectation and anticipation for this. They had to deliver on it. Matt, what were your opening thoughts? Because you know what mine are, because I wrote a review on Letterboxd, but you
Yeah.
just wrote a cryptic review indicating that you'd share your
Yeah.
thoughts on the podcast. So I want you to kick us off here. What do you got?
That was kind of like a little bait there to get people interested. Like, oh, is it a 5-star or a 1-star? No, my honestly, my thoughts are more closely mirror your own, Eric. But I'm just gonna say one thing. I'm just gonna say like, ultimately, I want a filmmaker to improve after each movie he makes and gets better. And I don't feel James Gunn made a better movie than his Guardians movies with this Superman movie. Like, I was ultimately like, James, like, I thought you could have done better than this.
Okay.
Even though I didn't hate the movie at all and I enjoyed it, I felt like, James, you went like the easy route and you did all your James Gunnisms that you normally do, which is fine, but he didn't to me, the movie didn't felt elevated past that. Like, I don't know, Eric. I kind of wanted it to be more badass and more have more stakes. That I never felt like in danger too much. And but James Gunn does that, right? So I have to be careful with what I say. But ultimately, Eric, just my opening thoughts. Disappointed in the sense that I was expecting more from a James Gunn movie,
Okay.
but I did have a fun time with it at the end too. What
Okay,
about
no,
you, Eric?
it's totally fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of what you're saying too, and for me too. So obviously, we're talking like everyone knows what I said about the movie on my Letterboxd review. If you don't follow me on there, you can check me out, Eric Saloon. But basically, I enjoyed this movie. Like, I gave it a 7 out of 10 in my books. I think this. I enjoy this movie a lot. It was a solid movie. I liked the vibe in general, where it was super colorful, positive vibes in the movie. Like, there's some good messaging in there, good action, a lot of characters. It was a fast moving plot. Jumping from scene to scene. I think David Cornsweet was really good as Superman. But if we get into the critique side of it, just quickly with him, and a former guest Nez also wrote this in his review. I feel like he was getting the shit kicked out of him most of this movie until the very end, where for some reason he just flips on a dime and he just carves through all these villains like it ain't no thing. It's like, where was this in the previous hour and 50 minutes? You know what I mean? So a bit inconsistent from that regard. And it's not like they had like a kryptonite net around him or something there. He was just like getting his ass beat by the Ultraman, who's essentially him. But I think I also maybe would have wanted a bit more action or more Superman dominance. I think I expected him to win out fight scenes earlier in the movie rather than always rely on other characters like the Green Lantern or Hawk Girl or Mr. Terrific, which are all great characters, to be honest. And that's, like I said, a strength of the movie. Had a lot of good supporting characters, and I'll just highlight my favorite one right off the rip. Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. Like, he was phenomenal in this, in my opinion. And one thing where you talk about James Gunn and what we're kind of used to with him in terms of he's really good with like musical cues or the songs that he chooses to play in movies. Now, this didn't have a Guardians of the Galaxy type soundtrack. Far from it. What it did have, though, was, in my opinion, the most badass musical cues came when Lex Luthor were on the screen. Even him just walking to the Fortress of Solitude, and he had the engineer and Ultraman just kill all the robots, and he's just walking, like, not stopping at all. The music playing in the background just fired me up. And the previous scene when he's kind of telling all his henchmen, like, okay, hit the combo A4, and then they're hitting the moves with Ultraman. The music playing in that was just unreal. So if you recheck it out, just check out those cues that are playing while Lex is on the screen. Nicholas Hoult, killer performance. Makes Jesse Eisenberg look like an absolute chump with his neurotic and horrendous Lex Luthor impersonation.
Yeah, Eric, I gotta say, Lex Luthor was the highlight of the movie for me. I can't agree more with you on Nicholas Hoult. He's a great actor, and he's just proving it now. Like, I didn't know going in what he was gonna do, but as soon as he appears on screen, I loved him, Eric. Like, I was not rooting for him, but almost. You know what I'm saying? Charismatic, not too like, I don't know like his cadence and the accent he did was perfect. Like, he nailed it.
Yeah.
How did you feel, Eric, about the whole like pocket universe stuff? Like them going into sci-fi not fantasy, but sci-fi realm right away, no explanations. How about the no explanations of different superheroes that if you're going into this movie kind of blind, like if, let's say you were like my parents wouldn't know these side characters, like how do you feel about just you kind of have to be in the know a bit already about some of this stuff? Do you prefer your Superman movies like that, or do you want more like explain more and don't expose stuff too quickly type thing?
Well, I went with Andy, and she's like not a superhero movie girl at all, and she really liked the movie. So I feel like I don't think they really needed to explain everything. Like, yeah, I kind of agree that it was just thrown at us like, yeah, I have a pocket dimension set up, and like, accept it. Yeah, that was a bit, that was a lot to just be like, okay, Lex Luthor, I get you're a smart guy, but you're smart to the point where even if a micro fraction of your calculation is off, then it's gonna ripple time and space and everything. I kind of wouldn't be
Yeah.
messing with this stuff personally, but this guy's an arch super villain, so different rules, I guess. But no, I didn't mind the supernatural element where it's kind of cool to see like all these. I guess in a sense that's what I want to see with the Superman or DC universe is all just craziness, right? And James Gunn thrives in that, and he really put it all out there in this first movie. So Pocket Dimension allows for like literally anything to come through. Like I thought there was a lot of cool visuals in there too, which is why I am looking forward to rewatching this movie to see how I feel about, because at times I thought maybe it was dragging on a little bit in the Pocket Dimension specifically, but then it just looks cool seeing like that pink river of like pixelated river. Like it looked cool. So there's a lot going on in there, but overall I think it worked well. You had the like the they compare him to Bowser. I think that was Andy and I talking, but the little dinosaur that just becomes massive. Like these things that are just thrown at us out there. Like I like seeing that stuff. That it's not like. So this is what I'm liking about this now is that it's really wacky out there compared to the DC universe that Matt Reeves is setting up, which is fully grounded in reality. I like that it's a full contrast between these two worlds.
Okay.
Like keep them separate.
Okay.
Give us a Batman in this universe though, of course, but embrace the craziness, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then he excelled wholeheartedly at that, Eric. Honestly, like where Snyder's Man of Steel was muted of color, this one was full of color and fun and excitement, which I did like. I liked seeing Green Lantern like use his power and help against the Bowser creature and and Hawk Girl and Mr. Terrific. He was great. I know very little about him, but he was pretty damn cool and very like monotone and stoic with his voices and phrases, but like he was badass. And I thought Lois was great. Perry at the Daily Planet, even I forget his name, but the lover boy there with the secretary. Yeah, who is that actor though? He's very punchable face though too, right?
Yeah.
Like, how is he getting all the women?
I wasn't about that character at all, to be honest. So him, Jimmy, that's his name in the movie. Jimmy was not about him. Like that. Okay, so I'm talking about like I embrace the unrealistic stuff and all that. Like, how is this girl bagging Lex Luthor's girl? Who, to be fair, like I found her a little annoying too, realistically. And their scenes together, like I don't know about you, but for me the humor there wasn't really hitting, and I was a bit surprised that. Well, yes, I definitely did laugh during the movie. I did think, knowing that it's a James Gunn movie, it would be a little funnier. And I don't know if it's because maybe the actors, like Corn Sweats, he maybe doesn't have the comedic chops of a Chris Pratt. Maybe that's where it was lacking a bit in the comedic.
Yeah.
Nathan Fillion, I feel like he could be someone who carries some of the humor going forward if he's in all these movies. Mr. Terrific, big fan of his character. Like he was a solid supporting character, and like what a comeback story for him, having previously appeared in the X-Men First Class movie as Darwin. What a 180 for that guy.
Adapt to survive. Yeah.
Adapt to survive. Proceeds to die 2 minutes later. Adapt to this.
Good callback.
So good.
Good callback.
And yeah, then our girl Dina from The Last of Us is Hawk Girl, right. So she's just popping up in everything these days, up and coming. But yeah, solid squad.
Honestly, I'd give it the same. But the James Gunnisms of like having a giant random creature in the city, at the end of the day, I accept it because it's in a world where there is freaking a pocket dimension and all this. But like, it is silly at the end of the day to think that the bad guys have this like baby Bowser sized one, and then the next day he's like the size of Godzilla.
Yeah.
And like,
it's fair.
Lois and Superman are having a conversation, and the other Justice League, the Justice Gang, are fighting that why am I blanking on the jellyfish? And I don't know, but that's James Gunn for you guys. And you know what? It could have been a disaster. It could have been a masterpiece. It was neither. It was just a very solid, safe movie at the end of the day. Yeah, honestly, I really want to rewatch it, Eric, because I might like it even more on second. Like knowing what to expect now, I don't have to focus on those things,
Mm,
and I don't have to guess where it's going. I can just enjoy it. So,
yeah.
yeah, James Gunn, love him or hate him, he's a visionary. He does his vision. He does what he wants. You know, he's like Zack Snyder. It's a
Yeah.
James Gunn movie. This is what I'm doing. I'm unapologetic about it. Love it or hate it, this is what I'm doing. So I can't fault it for that. It was
Mm,
fun to watch in the theater. Like it was cool to like crypto. Yeah, I
yeah.
like the dog at the end of the day, but like once I accepted the fact that there's a super dog, I had no problem with
Mm,
crypto. Even when his cousin
yeah.
Supergirl flies in at the end, I was like, all right, like just bring it all in then. You know,
Yeah.
give me more now. Give me another movie. Give me more of this guy.
Exactly. So I think, like you said, James Gunn has his style, and he definitely like really put his footprint or handprint,
Mm,
whatever, on all over this movie. And I don't know if that's what we're gonna get in all of these DC movies. I don't think that all of the superheroes in this universe merit that kind of treatment. I feel like Superman
mm,
and his speech at the end where he talks about his greatest super strength is his humanity. I don't know if you want to lean into that like campy, like over the top optimism vibes because DC should have some darkness in it, right? Like I don't think
right.
a Swamp Thing movie should have like bright pinks and yellows left and right, right? Like that should be some grimy,
Yeah.
dirty browns in there, you know. So,
Yeah.
but this is a good start, in my opinion, to
Mm,
launch this universe and set the foundation with a lot of these characters. Like maybe we get a Justice Gang TV show or movie spin-off. There's talks of a Jimmy Olsen spin-off. Like, please leave
whoa,
that on the
whoa,
cutting
whoa,
room
whoa,
floor. Like, do not. Like, I'm
whoa.
gonna tune in, but just don't throw that our way, please. But, anyways, and that guy's in a licorice pizza. I'm pretty sure, Matt, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I think.
He's
Anyways,
in something I've seen for sure. Like he's such a weird like. Just take a look. Anyways.
yeah. Anyways, is
Uh,
right. So, I mean, we can. This kind of segues us nicely into the next Marvel movie where you're talking about how is this going to age on rewatch. I'm extremely curious to see about Fantastic Four on rewatch as I am Superman because for me, I kind of enjoyed these two movies the same amount for similar and different reasons too, where they both have like a bright aesthetic. I love the world that Matt Shackman, who I believe did WandaVision as well, created for this movie, like the retro futuristic 1960s Earth that they're living on in this pocket dimension. So there's a lot of comparisons here with these two movies, and the strength of this movie truly lies in the Fantastic Four and the actors cast for all these characters were dynamite in my opinion. Pedro Pascal, I mean, the guy just he has Hollywood at his knees, basically, just handing over roles at
yeah.
rates that he can't even handle all this income, right? But he did a great job as Mr. Fantastic. Vanessa Kirby, really good as Sue Storm. Ebon Moss Baccarat, who's had a resurgence in his career following The Bear, or maybe you could even go back to his couple episodes in Andor as I forget his name, Scree or something like that. Regardless, and then finally, last but not least, Joseph Quinn, who I was skeptical of this casting for sure coming into this
Yeah.
movie. Didn't see him as Johnny Storm, but my God, he did a great job in this, in my opinion. He was funny and had a lot of, I don't know, kind of just good moments. His dynamics with pretty much every character in the movie. He probably had the best rapport with everyone he interacted with, I would say, with his sister, with Ben, and then with the Silver Surfer, and then him and
Mhm.
Reed trying to have real
Mhm.
conversations where he's kind of not, he's
Mhm.
being dismissed. Like, I liked, he was an integral part of the movie and biggest surprise for me. Or one of them, actually. So, those are my opening thoughts. Really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a good movie, good looking movie, less funny than I thought it was going to be. I guess again, similar to Superman. enjoyed a lot. So opening thoughts, Matt, for you as well. You withheld your rating on this. Did you like this more than Superman? I'm curious. The fan theories on the subreddit threads say that your use of the word thoughts imply that you didn't like this as much as Superman. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Oh. No, I just scribbled that down quickly, like exiting the theater. I was in a rush. So, no, I actually like this slightly more than Superman.
Okay.
But I'm kind of equal like you, Eric. I didn't like fall in love with it, but I thought it was very solid. Again, I liked it a little bit more than Superman. So, what I liked about it, story extremely simple, nothing, no crazy twists in terms of like we go from point A to point B. That was all well done. Matt Shankman's a TV veteran. Like if you look at all the shows he's directed episodes of, and he did WandaVision, like the movie looked great, but he also doesn't have a stylistic touch either. He's very like cookie cutter in terms of like, I'm going to give you everything perfectly what the script says, but I'm not going to put my own stamp on it, which is fine because the characters were the real stars of the movie. You touched on all of them, Eric, beautifully, and I agree with what you said. I'll just say, like, Pedro, the man probably has, like, the pick of scripts that he wants and has to choose carefully, but, like, who would want to have a big payday, right? He was great as you relate to him in terms of he's very likable. You want to root for him. I don't know what it is about the guy. The guy's waited, like, he's been in Hollywood for so long, but only got his flowers later in his career. So I'm glad that he's getting all these roles. I don't care if people are like, Pedro's everywhere now. Dude, the man paid his dues. He was doing like bit TV roles for decades before he broke out. I think Game of Thrones and Narcos was his big break.
Yeah.
Probably Narcos. But Vanessa Kirby, a lot of acting, just with those big blue eyes, like a lot of good expressions, and she didn't always have to talk. She had good. She's a great actress. Joseph Quinn too surprised me, because I wasn't sure. After seeing him in Gladiator 2, he looked like a clown. I was like skeptical. Does he have that Chris Evans charisma? Because Chris Evans previously played the Human Torch, so he was good. The Thing was cool too because the CGI of The Thing, I could like read his expressions and like his sadness, when he's talking, when he sees the girl, and when he's walking the alleys by himself. He's a loner. Anywhere he is, he's going to be a loner because of his looks. They went a little bit into that, but not too much. But like, there's a lot there to unpack, and they highlighted that briefly but beautifully.
Yeah.
The villain, I don't think the Silver Surfer's actual villain, but she looked really cool. Who cares if it was a girl and not a boy like in the comics? She looked badass. Galactus, his ship, and himself looked really cool. Like, how do you do a celestial being just like that?
Yeah.
Very menacing, cool voice. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like to save the world, and they saved it. And very simply, too. Like, I don't feel like there was too much action or struggle. Like, they got her done. But you know what? It was a really fun ride. And you wrote in your review, Eric, the pacing was so tight that like they could have shown more stuff. I agree 100%. Like it could have been a little longer, show more stuff, or cut out some of the stuff at the beginning to show more later on. Either way, I respect the decisions they made, and I enjoyed it. Yeah. Did you like the whole like angle with the child? Like that was a big focus in the movie, if not the main focus. I didn't even think it would go in that territory, but I didn't mind it at the end of the day. Did you like that whole storyline, Eric, with the kid, the baby?
Yeah, it was for sure interesting. Obviously, the son of Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm, so high expectations or theories, I guess, of who this kid is going to become. Like, is he going to have superpowers? Is he going to be stronger than his parents? For this world, especially, like, they're the only 4 real superheroes, it seems like, for this universe. So, and then Galactus wants him. And you can understand that Galactus has been around for billions of years, allegedly just consuming worlds. I don't know how frequently he's eating these planets, but I mean, at a certain point, I guess even the most gluttonous pig becomes stuffed and doesn't want to do this anymore. So he's looking for a successor. Yeah, it was a way to move the plot along, and I guess that's how Silver Surfer landed on that world. I don't know. I forget if they actually explained that, but it would make sense that she found them because she knew that there was going to be this baby coming in that could replace Galactus. I forget if they actually did that or not, but regardless, yeah, it made sense. And then it's teeing up this kid with the post-credit scene too for what kind of impact or dynamic is he gonna have with Doctor Doom in the Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So I liked it honestly. It's set in the past, so maybe the next time we see the kid, he'll be even older, like more than just 4 years old. I mean, like as teenager or adult, even
Hmm.
who knows. So no, I like the kid aspect and that it really tied together the whole theme of the movie, which is family, right? So
Right.
Marvel's first
Right.
family, and now I feel like Vanessa Kirby had a lot of great quotes and a monologue when she's talking to the angry mob who are begging her to give
Yes.
up her child so that the rest of them can live, which to be fair makes total sense. Like I feel like most people
Yeah.
would think that way, like
Yeah.
hey, it's you're choosing one baby over all the other mothers in the world who also have babies, but they're all going to die because you refuse to sacrifice yours. I like that she had a line about saying, I will not sacrifice my child for this universe, but I will also not sacrifice this universe for my child. Something along those lines I thought was a banger of a quote, way to you win the crowd, right? So she did that in that moment. And yeah, no, theme of family important throughout the whole movie. Johnny and Ben as uncles, and then Reed as an overly anxious and over stressing
Yeah.
father, over planning father. But I liked all the things that they did with that throughout the whole movie. Really good. And me as well, Julia Gardner, Silver Surfer, big fan. Like I was obviously surprised when they announced it would be her playing Silver Surfer because he has such a unique, cool look.
Hmm.
Didn't know what I would think about it being a woman who plays the character, but she was so good and love the dynamic with Johnny again. Maybe wish
Yeah.
they go in a like really lean into the romantic aspect. It would have been nice, cool to see, but left the door open maybe for down the line. Who knows? She's not gone forever. So and lastly, yes, maybe would have liked to see them add another 10, 15, 20 minutes to the movie, but I feel like the fact that they left us wanting more is a better sign than them giving us too much and then us wishing like
Right.
they could have cut these last 15 minutes. So I feel like when you can pull that off, you did a good job.
Yeah. Well said, Eric. Uh, um, I agree. I also one the side quest of them going meeting Galactus in space. I thought that was cool.
Yep.
Going through the wormhole. Love that.
Oh
Made
yeah.
sped the movie up in terms of that. It happened so fast. I'm like, oh my god! Like, how much time is left in the movie? They're telling you that much time. Also, the whole Earth 828 or whatever, like the alternate world of Earth, that was cool. Like you highlighted the first thing you said, the aesthetics of the movie are wicked, and like a world where they're united, a world where the Fantastic Four are almost like gods on Earth, like
Mm.
they're so revered. There's underground people, led by Stingray from Cobra Kai, and how are they gonna eventually through the timeline meet up with our other characters? Probably. We don't know what's in store, so that's cool. I'd like to see everyone eventually meet up like one big happy family. Fantastic Four, X-Men, Avengers. That'd be a
Mm-hmm.
freaking party. But for an intro movie, the movie's called First Steps.
Yeah.
First steps of the baby, first
Ah,
steps to us
true.
in this universe. This is a great intro movie, in my opinion, to these characters. They highlighted the characters. We got more on the characters than action scenes. We didn't see their powers every 5 minutes or 10 minutes
Yeah.
rescuing kids or doing this or that. We saw what they are as human beings and how they behave, which I like. Now, when we see them in other movies, we're going to already be invested in them. This is what the MCU did at the start, so we care about Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and all that. Care about these characters. Now we can put them in peril, and we're going to care more. You don't just throw them in peril right away. We're not going to give a shit. So, really fun movie. Um, yeah, no, I honestly I had more questions after the movie. Like I wanted to Google on Galactus and the Celestials and what's up with them again, and it left me wanting more. So, like you said, that was a good thing. So very satisfied with this movie. Can't
Mm-hmm.
wait for more. So overall, Marvel after these movies this year, there was a lot of lows with Brave New World at the start, but then it's kind of climbing, trending upwards in my opinion.
Yeah.
Eric, what do you think?
Oh, for sure. I think we're on the rise with these last two movies and two shows too, with from Fantastic Four, Ironheart, Thunderbolts, Daredevil. Like this is a nice. We're picking up some momentum here, and just the last thing I want to say on Fantastic Four for this movie is similar to Superman. I like how they omitted the origin story. They kind of gave us a quick recap of what happened, like really quickly, but it wasn't like there wasn't time spent
Yeah.
on like their normal and then they're getting their powers. I forget if they
Yeah.
did that in the 2005 Fantastic Four movie. It's been so long, and I haven't even seen the Miles Teller one. But regardless, I like how they just threw us in the mix with this is the world, Earth 828. This is how it is out here. Here's a quick recap. Let's throw our Stingray Mole Man, which I loved. Like, he was really good, honestly. Paul Walter Hauser. Really good
That's right.
little character. And again, Mole Man, it's like the Underminer, Incredibles comparison. Like, I was getting Incredibles vibes the whole
Me too.
time, pretty much. So, it was gold. But we just need a live action Syndrome comparable coming in now and really bring this home. But yeah, no, I think this is, and now we're talking about, yeah, future of Marvel coming off of these movies, and we're talking about, we have three prospective leaders in all these movies for our next Avengers movie, which I'll just say now, Matt, like for the Thunderbolts post-credit scene, do you remember what that is, or did you see the post-credit scene?
I forget what it is.
So it's basically the Thunderbolts are in, either they themselves are in a spaceship, I think they are, and then they see another spaceship come through, and it's the Fantastic Four rocket ship. So these characters are gonna cross over into our timeline at this point in time in like the present day and help fight against Doctor Doom.
Okay.
Like that's the Doomsday plot is a
Okay.
massive team up, and Reed Richards is another prime candidate to lead. Now, my thing is with him is that he was a bit, while being the smartest man on earth, to a fault, I think. Like he's kind of like questions himself a little too much and overthinks about every single possibility. Like, is that really the kind of leader that this group will want? When we have characters like Thor who are literal gods and don't even have to think, they're just like, all right, I'm just gonna dive head first in here, take them out because I'm unbeatable, basically. So, well, it'll be interesting to see how all these big personalities clash and work together ultimately, in which, like I said, is gonna lead to a lot of death ultimately. But I think all of our Fantastic Four characters are 100% safe. I can't see any of them dying at this point in the game. It would maybe be more like legacy characters that get killed off, because we're now looking
Right.
at these Fantastic Four as new core members going forward. And yeah, no, I think we're in good hands with Marvel now. I'm
I
optimistic
think
heading into next year, which has two massive movies coming out.
I'm very optimistic too, Eric. If Robert Downey Jr. nails Doctor Doom, that would be epic. Yeah, I'm excited. I didn't know about this cutaway scene, the post-credit scene, so that's cool. I saw the post-credit scene for Fantastic Four with 4 years later, but
Yeah.
no, that's cool. I'm excited. I'm hoping next year on our Marvel recap show we'll be. I mean, if the movie's out by then, we'll be gushing about Avengers Doomsday.
Well, that's the thing. I think we're gonna have to wait till 2027 for that pod, because
Yeah.
Doomsday comes out in December 2026.
December.
So,
Okay.
like, I'm really excited for this movie. It'll be 7 years now since we've had an Avengers movie, and it's been a rocky road for Marvel. Like, they placed their eggs in the Jonathan Majors Kang basket. Like, that was the plan of Kang Dynasty.
Yeah.
They had to rejig everything,
Pivot.
and now they've got Robert Downey Jr., who I was a little skeptical at first about him as Doom, but I think they wouldn't choose him if they weren't 110% sure that he was going to nail it, and he also wouldn't have accepted the role, knowing that it could impact his legacy in these movies for how amazing
right.
he was as Iron Man. You just know the guy is going to bring it as Victor Von Doom, who now I've come to realize how they're going to play the same actor playing a different character
Yeah.
card. Do you know the theory, or do you want me to say?
Oh yeah, say it. I have no idea what you're about to say. So
So,
tell me.
well, there's a lot of different backstories for who Doctor Doom is in the comics, right? And the one that makes the most sense that they would do here, and I think this is what they're gonna do, is Dr. Victor Von Doom is in another timeline is the son of Howard and I forget his wife's name, son, but is put up for adoption and is not raised by Howard Stark and does not become Tony Stark, but is Victor Von Doom with similar brain power and maybe a different
Okay.
environment. Does not become the hero we know, but in a different environment becomes an iconic villain. So
Oh,
I feel like that is how
Has
you
the
can
same look.
explain that he looks exactly like Iron Man. And I think
okay.
he would also exploit that. And when he interacts with characters who know Iron Man in their timelines, he masquerades as Tony Stark and could maybe gain their trust. So I don't think you want to make him
Shit.
act the same way as Tony though. Like it wouldn't make sense that he has the same like billionaire playboy like mannerisms, but could
Yeah.
still be charismatic and charming in his own way. I think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm a little bit. I've only seen Robert Downey Jr. like act the like in all the movies been the same. Although he was amazing as Charlie Chaplin in the '90s, and he was nominated, so that's a completely different role. So you know what? Forget what I said. I
Well,
don't doubt a thing. He'll be great. He's a great
Oppenheimer.
actor. That's right. Yeah, I take that back immediately. He can be different. He just chooses sometimes to do a shtick.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for Marvel to summarize the 6 things we talked about tonight. Honestly, only one of them was a stinker, really.
Yeah.
The other five I enjoyed.
Yeah.
So it was a very solid year for superhero watching. And we're only halfway through the year. I don't think anything big's coming out in the second half of the year, but like very solid so far, Eric.
Season 2 of Peacemaker is what's next on my docket. I'll check it out for sure. Hopefully they've like I've already said a bunch of times on the
Yeah,
pod, toned it down on the f bombs. His cameo was hilarious in Superman though. I thought that was a funny scene.
right.
But anyways, yeah, no, I'll tune in for that for sure. But I think that's about it. Maybe there's a few other Marvel shows like the Eyes of Wakanda animated show and maybe Marvel Zombies, but I'm keeping like tampered expectations for all those. So I think we got our big shows and big movies already out of the way. Next year we're looking at for DC. I think Supergirl for sure. Maybe they have another movie, but I'm not sure. But then Spider-Man Brand New Day coming out. Like that should be big and hopefully well Daredevil season 2 of course. But in terms of movies and then yeah, Avengers Doomsday. Really excited for that. Yeah, like if I know I believe in they brought the Russo bros back for this. Like I think this will be a banger. I think 2026 gonna have some big movies. The Odyssey, Dune 3, and
Oh
Mandalorian
yeah.
and Grogu. There's a few others. So no, we're in good hands in 2026. As
We
we
could
were.
be looking back as we could be looking back at the 2020s as like the fall, like the first half was mediocre, and then it like skyrocketed into a peak of like the big epic superhero movie. It's cool looking at trends like that in retrospect. So yeah, we're witnessing history right now, so it's kind of cool to experience it and talk about it in these podcasts.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah, I think that wraps up the superhero talk. Did you have anything you wanted to recommend, Matt, to the people?
Um, I'll keep it short. I've been obviously the movies we talked about. I rewatched A Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More
Nice.
on Amazon Prime, the Clint Eastwood Westerns. Freaking amazing. I had never watched them really in HD like that because they were old DVDs that I watched before, and they just ripped by. The score, oh my god, For a Few Dollars More, I just have that in my head now.
Oh yeah.
And I would like to talk about them more in depth with you on another show, Eric. Honestly, just been rewatching a lot of old movies with Mackenzie. One I'll recommend is on Tubi, actually. It's called Sweet Smell of Success. So it's on Tubi TV. It's from the 50s. It's got Tony Curtis and Burt Lancaster, two huge actors of their time. It's about tabloid, press agents, business. It's honestly like TMZ before TMZ existed, all in a couple nights in New York. Super razor sharp dialogue, performances, and cutthroatness in the whole movie. So that's on Tubi TV. Sweet Smell of Success. Very famous movie from '57, I think.
Okay.
I'll recommend one more thing, but I'll let you go ahead first, Derek.
Okay, no, that's awesome. And yeah, I mean, I was just looking up the score by Ennio, what's his face? Ennio
Morricone?
Morricone. Just phenomenal stuff like that. In a fistful for a few dollars more, the like the Locket song that plays like constantly throughout the movie is so good.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. Like that was a great plot device and just yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
definitely down to
And
do
reveal, yeah.
like a Western pod. Maybe next episode, honestly. There's a few more I want to
Okay.
watch before then, but it's been fun to watch these movies. They're so good. Unfortunately, by the time this pod is out, Fistful of Dollars and a few dollars more will be off of Prime Video, which sucks. But we talked about it last episode too, so hopefully you got a chance to check them out. Same with Once Upon a Time in the West. So for me, really, movies have been just these superhero movies. Once Upon a Time in the West. I mean, I've said it before to a few people. I'll say it again. Check out Sideways again. I think I watched it on Netflix. Really funny movie. Like that's a classic comedy that I watched when I was much younger. I forget how old exactly, but I just didn't get it. Didn't find it funny at all. And then saw it years later and thought it was great. And now I just rewatched it a few weeks ago and thought it was hilarious. So it's about these two guys played by Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church who go on a like it's a bachelor party trip for Thomas Hayden Church, who's getting married in a week with his like oldest friend from college or whatever, and they go to these vineyards out in California for wine tasting tours. They meet a few girls, and just the kind of trip that Paul Giamatti's character had planned becomes derailed because Thomas Hayden Church's character just wants to, in his words, get his nut off. And the stuff they get into is just hilarious. Just like I'll highlight Thomas Hayden Church is hysterical in this movie.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'd like to see him in more. Like obviously, this is an older movie there, but see if he has more of these comedy movies in his bag because like I've only really seen him in like Spider-Man 3 as Sandman, where he's lamenting his daughter Peggy and just wants to get some money for her. But yeah, no, really, really funny movie. Sideways, would recommend. Good comedy to check out.
Oh, I think that movie's great too, Eric. I need to rewatch. It's been years. I've only ever seen Thomas Hayden Church in this, Spider-Man 3, and then George of the Jungle as the villain.
Oh yeah, true.
Who wants Leslie Mann's character? Yeah, Leslie Mann.
So yeah, no, recheck that out, Matt. Really funny.
Okay, I will. I'll show it to Mackenzie. She's probably never seen it.
She's
Paul
like it.
Giamatti is always great.
He's annoying,
I
but he's
remember
good.
him. Oh, he's in the movie, but great. And then Sandra Oh and Virginia Madsen, right? Yeah,
Yep.
they're good too in that. Okay, sweet. And Once Upon a Time in the West, that harmonica, Eric, that sound, like when he's playing, bone chilling.
So good.
And Cheyenne, and Henry Fonda as a villain. Henry Fonda's never played a villain. He's the ultimate villain in this movie.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Big turn.
Great. Yeah. The last movie I'm going to recommend, guys, keep it short and simple. Shut Your Brain Up type of movie on Netflix. The new one's coming out August 1st. The original, The Naked Gun, is on Netflix, guys, if you want to watch it. It's so stupid, but, like, rips by. I don't know if you've seen it, Eric, but it's so, like, easy to watch and stupid that just puts a smile on your face. So I recommend if you just want to have an easy movie to watch, have a couple drinks, laugh your ass off, watch The Naked Gun with Leslie Nielsen. It's pretty freaking funny, Eric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I've seen Naked Gun roughly 50 times. I mean, that's a classic, Matt. That's an all-timer for sure. That's one that at my buddy Mart's cottage back in the day, like end of the night, like we're just the lads there to throw Naked Gun on, have 100 laughs watching that. Like that's just slapstick comedy at its finest, really. And it's been a while since I've seen it though, so I do want to rewatch it closer to when we're actually going to go see the new Naked Gun movie as a squad, which that's something I haven't done in years, is go see a comedy movie in the theater with like a bunch of friends.
Nice.
That's like a throwback to like Ted is the last one I can distinctly remember doing that, which is like 2015. So it's fun to like laugh with people in a theater. So, but no, Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad is an all timer in my books. Leslie Nielsen, I believe I had him as Lieutenant Frank Drebin. I had him as one of my characters in our comedy characters draft with Curtis, of course. So
That's right.
you know,
I feel like you've said that. I remember now you saying all that now, and I totally sorry. I love
that's all good.
escaped my mind. So yeah,
All
But yeah,
good.
that's to recommend.
I'll recommend a book I just finished today, actually. Really good stuff. Was gonna hold off on this because this may be in my, if we do a book top 10 episode, has a strong claim at this, and it's made me want to get book number 2 in the trilogy. So it'd be another book by my guy Timothy Zahn, who wrote Thrawn. You can see I'm holding it up.
Love the cover.
Oh yeah, it's so this book I've read now 4 Thrawn books. The first 3 are the Heir to the Empire trilogy. Now this one is the first in another. So Heir to the Empire trilogy takes place after Return of the Jedi. This trilogy takes place in between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope. So we're basically seeing the rise of Thrawn. Like in this book specifically, we're seeing his rise from like obscure upbringing to lieutenant to ultimately, we all know his title in the shows, Grand Admiral. So we're just seeing how he uses his innate intelligence and cunning mindset to maneuver through situations and win battles. Again, what I love about this book too is that it's purely from like the Empire's point of view as well. Whereas the Heir to the Empire trilogy we're following Luke, Han, Leia, Chewie, Lando, and Thrawn is a villain. But here it's like Thrawn's our guy, which for the most part he already is our guy, but we're following from his point of view. A few new characters too. His aide, Eli, and then there's another character in there, Arinda Price, who we follow her rise from the planet Lothal, actually, which is in Star Wars Rebels, and kind of how she rises up on her own journey in the Empire's political scene. So, no, I ate this book up for breakfast. It was really good. Like, love anything that... I'm going to read the rest of this trilogy, and there's another Thrawn trilogy that, as long as it's written by Timothy Zahn, I'm all over it. Must read Thrawn content. Like I would recommend this book over the other trilogy personally, because I thought it was more interesting to find out about how he rose to be a Grand Admiral compared to in the other trilogy he already is, and we're seeing him try to rebuild the Empire. Obviously I still like that trilogy, but I'm liking what they're laying down in this trilogy too. So Thrawn, Timothy Zahn, check it out. Really good.
I'm definitely gonna have to check that out, Eric. I've read some Star Wars novels, so I'm no problem reading more.
Well,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Like I said, if you're a Thrawn guy, I think some of these are like must read in my books, pun intended.
Okay.
But yeah, that'd be it for me in terms of recommendations.
Yeah, I'm good too.
All right. So, yeah, no, great episode, Matt. A lot of fun covering all this stuff. Looking forward to the next time we revisit the superhero genre and what other products the various filmmakers have put out for us. So, any final notes for the listeners?
Just want to thank you all for listening to our podcast. I hope you enjoyed our lengthy superhero talk. Like, we could have doubled the size of this episode and gone into more detail, but that's our format. And Eric, I really enjoyed talking about those 2 shows and movies with you. Everybody, I hope you're enjoying summer right now, and I just want to thank you one more time for listening to our podcast.
Well said, Matt. So thanks a lot, everybody, for listening. Stay tuned for episodes dropping every 2 Mondays. Continue to enjoy your summer. Hopefully you got to check out all these movies we talked about. And yeah, peace.